Anyway, to the Washington Examiner's Emily Jasinski, national security analyst Ryan Mauro. Emily, it is not unusual for the media to take a very critical view of trade deals that, or other deals that might be in the making or not. This one in particular, though, seems to recognize the befuddlement of the media that all the tough talk with North Korea, calling him Little Rocket Man and everything else, might actually be paying off, that it might actually be working. What do you make of that?
Right. I think that'll be a tough pill to swallow as things progress for a lot of the president's enemies in the press. Certainly I think it's too early to give full credit, but I also think it's too early to be taking full credit away. I mean, there are a lot of things at play here. We saw what China did when it pursued the sanctions against North Korea. That had a huge effect, of course. And so there's a lot of stuff to disentangle, and there's a lot of credit to be given. But as we see things progress and as we see things play out, I do think it's heading towards what I just said, a tough pill to swallow for some in the press that thought Donald Trump would be utterly ineffective in these negotiations.
Well, Ryan, it does turn everything upside down about how you go about diplomacy, tried under Republican and Democratic presidents alike. It was a different approach, still too early, to her point that this could yield results, but it would be a kick if it did, right? I mean, we might rethink our diplomatic strategy going forward on everything.
Right. I think that the Twitter diplomacy is really being effective here by the Trump administration. And that was something everyone was panicking over, saying President Trump would cause a nuclear war. But actually what happened was that it intimidated the North Korean regime. And specifically, I think when Trump focused on the human rights record of the North Korean regime, I think that was especially effective. When you have Pompeo in there and you have Bolton in there, two individuals who have openly said we should support the North Korean opposition that wants to bring freedom to that area of the world in a place that so few thought would ever happen. I think that scared the living daylights out of Kim Jong-un because you're already having a success here. This dramatic change in tone to the point where they're talking about getting rid of nuclear weapons and broader disarmament, that alone is a success regardless of whether it actually happens.
The president has said, Emily, that he'll up and walk away from the table if it doesn't look like they're going anywhere. I don't know what the time frame he was using or what would be, such a severe development that it would mean he'd walk away. I assume no guarantee on the part of the North Koreans that we could check them on whatever, nuclear promises they're making. But what did you make of that?
Yeah, that gets to something really interesting in how Donald Trump has handled this situation. And it's just that I think to a lot of world leaders and to North Korea, he's completely unpredictable, which is scary in and of itself, right? That they actually don't know what to expect from Donald Trump. He talks really strong. And you can sort of put this all together, whether it's military moves or sanctions or just his rhetoric. Most experts agree he's applying an unprecedented amount of pressure and is being very strong in his position towards North Korea. And so the rhetoric itself just lends to this idea that he's unpredictable and you don't know what to expect from Donald Trump. And that certainly, I think, plays a role here.
Ryan, though, I'm remembering the North Korean leader, and just 6 months ago, he was very bellicose. He was looking for the destruction of America. So I'm also going into this eyes wide open, I'm sure, as the president is and others here in this country. We hope for developments. These are certainly far more than we've seen in the past. But this is a guy who's pretty wily. His father was very wily and hoodwinked a lot of people. His grandfather the same. So I know we want to check and verify everything he commits to here, but I don't know what the real Kim Jong-un is. The crazy guy was launching missiles just a few months ago, or this guy who's trying to come off as Winston Churchill.
I don't think Kim Jong-un knows who the real Kim Jong-un is. I think he's actually that divorced from reality, but he does understand one thing. He wants to live, and he wants to live well. And apparently he feels that that is threatened. And so you can't overestimate how important it is that the tone of the North Korean regime has changed, because for decades, that was kind of the surviving ingredient of the North Korean regime. They may change tone a little bit in regards to deals, but they're always saying, death to America, we're going to nuke you. And that's suddenly all stopped. And don't forget about the connection to Iran, Assad, and reportedly Hamas and Hezbollah. So any success on the North Korean front also impacts those radical Islamic adversaries that we face. And if we start sharing information with the North Korean regime, we might get a window into those dark activities of the Iranians that we have never had before.
We'll watch closely, guys. Thank you very, very much.